On time means 11:00 a.m. That is on time. Late without any penalty is the first 5 minutes late. There's no penalty for that. Okay, it's acceptable. But come on. When I come at 11, is it that difficult for you to come at 11? No. Don't wait for him. When you wait for him, there will be quiz. Okay? Don't wait for him. Just come. Let him miss the quiz by himself. Alright. We have mass balance, so we do QG rho G plus QL F rho L equal to QC rho C. Okay, QC is volumetric flow rate of the core. It's a volume of gas plus volume of the droplet. And FEQL become volumetric flow rate of droplet alone. In compressible fluid, we have QC equal to QG plus QLFE. Does it have anything to do with each other? Really? This is by itself. Okay, it's not connected. It's not that connected. We say, hey, look, there's not enough time for gas phase to shrink, because this kind of equilibrium take place at the speed of sound, and we are far below speed of sound. So this means it's essentially feel like incompressible. It doesn't shrink. It's not have enough time to shrink or expand or compress. If you have a confined volume, you add liquid in, gas have more pressure, right? That kind of thing doesn't happen. It's kind of expand and flow in the actual flow case. Okay, so we say, hey, total flow rate is the flow rate of each phase added together. You cannot do this if you add liquid droplet and the gas phase like condense together or shrink. You cannot do this, right? But we say there's no time to shrink. There's no time to pressurize. So total volume is volume of gas plus volume of the droplet. That's it. Okay? So when you add more volume, it's flow. It's not like it's compressed, pressurized. No. So this is new equation by itself based on incompressible assumption. QC, total flow rate, equal to gas flow rate plus liquid droplet flow rate. So that is total in the core. Okay. Rho C, obviously, move QC over here is QG over QC rho G plus QL over QC FE rho L. So this is equation for rho C. Assume no slip between gas and liquid droplet in the core. Okay, no slip means no slip liquid hold up is actual liquid hold up for the core zone. So QG over QC is a void fraction, is a no slip void fraction, correct? And no slip void fraction is the actual void fraction because we assume no slip. So it's QG, we copy that, but QC is QG plus QLFE. We put it over there. Express it in terms of superficial gas velocity. Okay. QG is VSGAP, QL is VSLAP. Just that. Cancel AP, we get that. That is equation 4.89. Every equation can be derived. Okay, let me ask you this. Hey, great, why you keep talking about this? Because if you ever have gas bubble in the film, what are you going to do? If you have ever have gas bubble, on the top won't be QG anymore. It will be QG minus something, right? Because it's a little bit less. Entrapment fraction, whatever you call. The gas part that trapped inside the liquid phase is a little bit less. Okay? Can be 10% less or something. So you have to adjust this equation, right? I may not need you to do all the way to get the pressure drop. Just see if you know how to do the equation for the calculation. But no need to actually do the calculation in the actual exam. By understand this, you know how to do it if there is anything in the film zone. Okay? Rho C or core density is that ratio rho G, right? That ratio is alpha C, so we put it over there. Plus that ratio rho L. So QL over QL FE is what? Liquid droplet flow rate over QC. So QC minus liquid droplet will be gas droplet flow rate. Right? So this kind of thing is equivalent to 1 minus alpha C. See this to this? Or if you do 1 minus that and 1 minus that, so 1 minus QG over QC is a QC minus QG, QC minus QG is that term. So this equation becomes that. Equation 4.90. Basically, density is the weighted average based on hole or void fraction within the core zone. Similarly, viscosity is like that too. The only time that we don't do it like that is when it is emulsion. Emulsion we use Brinkman correlation. 1 minus 5 to the power of minus 2.5. You remember that very first lecture? Okay. When we add dispersed phase in, the viscosity go up exponentially. But if it's liquid and gas, typically is weighted average. You add gas in, liquid is less viscous according to the volume fraction that you add in, not mass fraction. Okay? Because when you add gas in, you don't add any mass, but you add a lot of volume. Alright, that is mu C. Then we almost have everything for the mass balance. Right? We have rho C for the combined momentum equation. We try to do this to get every expression for the combined momentum equation. Okay. Write everything down. From this page, this equation we have seen already. What about this one? We talk about that anywhere. VSC, superficial core velocity, is the total core volumetric flow rate divided by what? AP. So if you look at this term, VSG AP is what? QG, right? VSL AP is what? QL. FE, I just copied there. So the right hand side is that term, QC, core volumetric flow rate, equal to superficial core multiplied by pipe area, just by definition. Okay? Look at this one more time. Can we calculate VSC right up front? Almost. Because we know VSG, we know VSL. The only thing is F sub E. If we know F sub E, we can calculate VSC, superficial core velocity right up front. If we have some gas trapped in the film zone, so QC won't be QG, it will be a little bit less. Okay? And if you happen to know how much trapped in there, you may be able to calculate superficial core velocity too. So any question that have bubble in the film zone, you do it last because it's unseen and it takes quite a bit of time to do it, okay? Don't try to do it first, do the straightforward question first. Do the math, cancel AP, we get VSC equal to VSC plus VSL FE. Okay? Remind you, VSC is just QC AP over AP. VSC is QT over AP. VSL is QL over AP. By definition. Alright? Okay. Let's go back to this equation. AP, take it out. Okay, it's over here, and we have VSG, VSL, FE. That part, this equal to Q, C, and AC, BC. That equation 4.86. You may a little bit doubt, why are we doing all this? We do it to solve the combined momentum equation, to make everything to be just one unknown. Previously in the stratified flow is just H tilde, but this time we try to do it in terms of, what do you think? Do all the math to make everything in terms of delta tilde. Previously it's HL tilde, right? This time it's delta tilde. When we have one equation by a node, we can solve it numerically, or we can use the chart. Alright, I'll be almost there. VSC, or VC, actual core velocity. So this term is a little bit different than VSC. Actual core velocity multiplied by actual core cross-section area is volumetric flow rate multiplied by AP, right? It's that plus that. So this is VC, so actual core velocity. Okay. Do the math, we get that. Question? No question on this? VG is VC, no slip, okay? Between the entrant, droplet, and gas fraction. Alpha T, total void fraction is AG over AP. And it's VSG over VG, or QG AG over AP QG. And that cross each other. So alpha T is just a ratio between superficial velocity and actual gas velocity. Alpha C is the void fraction in the core zone. Okay? The relationship between alpha C and alpha T is therefore this. Okay? So if you use this expression divided by this expression, you get that one. So this means if you know core void fraction, you know the area you can convert to each other. Do the math, we get this in terms of delta. Okay. So next step is to make all the shear stress term in terms of thickness or delta. Tau WL 1/2 F rho V square, and that is of course fanning friction factor. Okay. That F can be 16 or 0.046. Okay. This is Colebrook type equation. Oh no, Blasels type equation. VF, okay, film, actual film velocity. Where's that equation come from? Did we ever talk about it anywhere? So we have to have QF, right? Oh, we have it over here. VF, we talked about it already. That is that expression. So VF is a function of thickness. Okay, VF is a function of thickness. Reynolds number sub F is also a function of thickness. Reynolds number of a core part, actual Reynolds number, not superficial Reynolds number, is dependent on the core velocity. Expression for the core velocity is over here, and it is just a function of thickness and F sub E, of course, entrainment fraction. Oops. So tau I 1/2 Fi rho V square apparent velocity. So the velocity that the liquid phase field will be the difference between the velocity of core and field. Vc and Vf, they are the function of what? Thickness, right? It's a function of thickness. Rho f is a function of thickness, isn't it? F sub I, we need closure relationship for I. I is from closure relationship. Okay. Most of the closure relationship is I is a function of thickness. Let's go back to some closure relationship that I show you. 1 plus 300 delta over d. So I is a function of thickness. Right? Or if you ever use the one that have F, if you use the one that 1400 F for upward concurrent flow, downward concurrent flow, regular number of film depend on V film, and V film is depend on thickness and entrainment fraction. Right? So everything is just based on the thickness. We are about to have one equation, one unknown. Do you agree? Look very good, right? FSC, superficial core friction factor. So we calculate it based on superficial Reynolds number, based on superficial core velocity. Rho C, VSC, D over mu. Okay. That is, of course, to be able to calculate right off. Do you have this expression in your book? Which page number?
Page 161.
160, what?
161.
161.
We have the Reynolds number of S. 162.
Rho C, V, S, C, D over mu C. Let me ask you this question. Why do we have capital D instead of D sub F or D sub C? It's kind of the superficial thing, right? So it's based on the total cross-section area. Alright. Look at the combined momentum again. Combined momentum equation again. Basically this slide gives the expression for every term. Area is a function of thickness or delta L. SL, we know it, rho L is given. Rho C is a function of alpha, but alpha is a function of Fe. Right? Fe comes from Wallace. This is Alves model, Alves et al. Tau WL is a function of film velocity. Film velocity is a function of thickness. Okay. Everything eventually is a function of thickness. Tau I is capital I. Capital I is a function of thickness. So tau I is also a function of thickness. Everything in this combined momentum equation is a function of thickness. Make sense? Now we have two options. Option 1, regular version, do dimensionless form. You remember last time you do a little bit painful, but you get capital S, capital Y, and the sharp between capital S and S tilde. That's the approach used in 1991. Another choice is solve it numerically, use computer to get thickness. Because you have one equation, one unknown already. What are we debating for? Nothing. We can solve it. Easy to say, right? But when you actually do it, it's a little bit difficult. Every equation that you list is going to be correct. Do this in VBA. Okay? Or you can do it in Excel. You do step by step, everything link. And you know that you can name the cell, right? In Excel. You don't need to say A15. Instead of A15, you can say row. You know that? I still see some of you do it. Find out how to name the cell, okay? But you can use Python or something else. Alright? We solve it numerically, we get the answer, we get thickness, we get delta, and then what? We substitute it back to get every parameter that is dependent upon delta. We get every shear stress. every area, everything. Then what? We go back to the momentum equation before we combine. We substitute it in, then we get pressure per unit length. Okay? Done.
So, quick question.
Yes.
You can use either.
You can use either of those two, and they must match.
Okay.
If they doesn't match, this means the thickness that you got doesn't satisfy both equations at the same time, and that could happen because the equation that you try to solve, like for the case of stratified flow, the equation that you try to solve is not the actual combined momentum equation, is a simplified momentum equation. If the equation that you solve to get HL is a simplified momentum equation, then delta that you got won't satisfy both equations at the same time.
So we should have done the whole in the technical exam to find out that satisfy both conditions.
In the take-home exam, even though it doesn't match, I forgive you because it's difficult already. But if you don't do it, you got a problem. Okay. In the real case, once you determine the flow pattern, you directly solve the combined momentum equation, because by using human eye to read the chart, you won't be able to get 2-digit, 3-digit HL tutor, right? But whatever you get, you can compare with the value from the chart to see, am I close enough or I'm completely off? If you are not close, you're wrong, not the book wrong, okay? All right. There's a benefit of option 2. Option 2 is do the dimensionless form first. By doing the dimensionless form, what do we get? What do we get, Victor? If we have this equation and we try to do dimensionless form, what do we get?
The dimensionless film.
Yeah, we get the dimensionless film and other dimensionless group, right? What's the benefit of knowing what is a dimensionless group?
Because we can use that answer to scale to other conditions. So we can plot it and we can use the same plot for every case.
So what is the benefit that we know? What is the definition of X? What is the definition of Y? What's the benefit for that?
That we can use the same result for other cases.
Of course, we can upscale it based on that. Anything else?
To know which parameter governs the
Oh, correct! I like that answer. Look, when we don't do any test yet, we just have formula, theoretical framework. We never know. Do we have everything govern the phenomena? Like if you want to know friction factor for laminar flow, is everything density, thickness, or density, Reynolds number? We do something and we know that eventually it's Reynolds number, right? This is the same thing. It's not every parameter govern the phenomena, it's just a couple of them. We got to know it. There's a benefit to know that. So this means when you do the test, what governs the phenomena? Okay, for the case of stratified flow is X and Y. For this case, if you know, then those things can be used for other purpose. If you try to get, hey, some behavior, like a pressure drop, is depend on viscosity or something, it's not as strong as trying to say, okay, capital X. Because there's a governing equation that there's a parameter that govern the phenomena itself. Okay? We should know it. And we try to do it. So this is an explanation on which term get from what. Okay? In the combined momentum equation, Fi come from closure relationship Fii, Fsc, capital I. Obvious model use Wallace closure relationship. Okay. I can also be from Henston and Harranti. Okay. Assume core is always turbulent and get Fsc. Okay. Rho something something. Rho C, Vsc, d over mu c. Mu C is a weighted average based on the core. Tau I is a function of thickness. There's a combined Montan equation. Eventually, you end up with the conclusion that everything is a function of thickness. Okay? You can solve it numerically. Basically, go seek. You can try to use go seek when you try to do the program that can automate everything, right? You have to come up with your own library to do that. But you can use other people's library. Alright, now let's do dimensionless form. Non-dimensionalization. We have common equation. We try to make the unit to be what? None. No unit. So we define, okay, this is a crucial step. We define minus dPdL sub SL to be 2f rho v squared over d. We try to get x, right? This is the kind of capital X. WL, okay, has the unit of Pascal. Okay. So we try to use this to make everything dimensionless. Divided everything by this. Okay, tau L over minus dPdL sub L. You get that. Okay. Scale VF with VSL. You get that. Okay. So after everything, this is a process. It's a little bit long, but it's just routine. Okay. Scale it with minus dPdL sub SL. Substitute it in. You have that thing. Eventually, do some math. You get this form. Okay. Tau S over A equal to minus dPdL something. And you're going to get the dimensionless thing. S sub I, tau I S I. Okay, we try to substitute everything so that it is in terms of thickness. Do some math, a little bit long. Okay. Substitute IFC equal to Fi. Okay. Look at this one more time. Is that correct? Absolutely correct.
I thought it was FSC.
SC. SC. Okay. But original equation tau ISI is IFC. Right? Tau I, okay, let's go back to tau I. What is tau I? Where's my tau I?
Go back.
This page, right? Fi rho C. Okay, Fi rho C.
Okay.
Fi is IFSC. Okay. Originally, this is the part that I tried to make. Our best model have FC instead of FSC. Where's this expression in your book?
Equation 465, page 161, the last equation. I is equal to FR over FSC.
All right. We say that term is Fi. Okay, that term is Fi. So you have FC. I think this is typo. That's why I put CC, but it's FC. Do the math part by part for SI something to be in the form of that part to be in the form of.
No, but that CC is not a typo.
It's not typo?
No, that is for your 0.0.
Oh, okay, I see. The coefficient, right?
Yeah.
That's for, oh, okay, that's for the coefficient. For the tau. We scale this tau IFI with superficial frictional pressure loss of the core zone. We get an expression. I'm sorry, but it's long, so we scale everything. When it is shear related, we scale with superficial frictional pressure loss. Okay. When it's velocity, we scale with superficial velocity. Multiply, combine, we get that one. Okay. So geometrical relationship is in the form of diameter. Okay. Substitute everything, you get this equation. Okay. That. So you don't have where does that come from? dPdL sub SL. We use this to scale which term? I thought we use this to scale tau WL. Right? We use that to scale tau WL minus dPdL sub SL. And we scale tau I by using superficial core part. Okay, we scale it by using superficial core part. Once you do everything, okay, I think that has to be SL, okay, because we scale that by SL. Otherwise, eventually you don't have that term. Okay. I'm sorry, but there's a typo in this equation. It cannot be SC for every one of them. Only that. So that term, we scale it by SC. That's correct because this term become that, right? And this term eventually become that. Basically, okay, with a little bit of typo, I do it, I get the same thing that the book got. Basically, that's what it is. Hopefully, you will go through the same pain and get what I got. Alright? So, then that's a combined momentum equation, right? Dimensional form for the pressure drop in the core, we can make it in terms of, we can scale it and make it in terms of geometric relationship. Okay, the core and field momentum balance can be written like that. So tau ISI, instead of tau ISI over AC, I wrote that. Okay, because I have already proved it that tau ISI something is that. Alright, so you get that term. Or rearrange it, you get 4.97. What about the film zone? Film zone, you can do the same thing. Instead of tau WL SL over AF, you can plug that term in. You see, it has to be SL, not SC. And you can plug that term in, which is that. And these two terms, I prove it early on. From here, and I think here. Okay? Plug it in, do the math, I get the frictional pressure loss. Dimensionless form, we copy, we get this. Okay, now is the time that we define some new dimensionless parameter. So this term is look like what? What do you think? Lockhart-Martinelli parameter, right? But it's not exactly like that because it's not SG, but it's SC. So we call it XM squared, modified Lockhart-Martinelli parameter. That term is quite capital Y, right? Why are they so similar? Because it's a segregated flow. Stratified flow and annular flow, the phase are separate into two parts, but in different geometry. So that's why they are close. So after you do everything, you have definition for capital Y sub m, capital X sub m. Don't forget the square. You get that equation. Okay. So delta is a function of x m y m, like H Tudor case, right? X sub m is modified log Hamiltonian parameter. Y sub m modified tidal Doppler inclination angle parameter. Delta Tudor, what is delta Tudor? Delta over diameter, is it?
Yeah.
That's delta Tudor. Okay. It takes some time to do all this, okay? Alright. So typically what they do, they make a chart. And we are going to get that chart. So we have x, m, y, m, n, f, e, I. So thickness governed by those 6 parameters. QED. Okay? We prove it. It's governed by those 6 dimensionless parameters. Alright? And you may define more to simplify it, to remove FE. Instead of xm, you have defined xm0 to be xm squared multiplied by that term. So you kind of absorb this term into dimensionless form. M always 0.2, gas core always turbulent. So you have just 2 parameters. Thickness is xm0, ym, but it's already include fe. Okay. If you transform it, the dimensional form, the film one, you get 5 square equal to something, like in the book. 5 film square, 5 c square. This equation is for getting the pressure drop after you know the thickness. After you know the thickness, you can substitute thickness in here and then you can calculate pressure drop. But they try to make it in dimensionless form so that you can read it from the chart. The chart is here. We will talk about it more next time because it's time's up. But basically, step 1, you calculate xm0 to calculate delta L. After this, you don't use this part. You use that line. Okay, that is phi c squared. Get phi c squared based on delta L. Once you know phi c squared, you go back to the definition of phi c squared, which is, where is it? This one. And you already know the thickness. Then you can get that, you get that. You have already know the F sub E, right? You get that, and then you can calculate pressure drop. Okay? Thank you very much. See you next week. Okay? We have research meeting tomorrow. Okay, Han and Victor and Isaac, let's meet tomorrow. I'm ready to meet tomorrow. When you come at noon, right? What about you? When will you come? Yeah. What time do you want to meet? What about you? 1 p.m.? Okay. Victor will come at noon.